Welcome back. This is part 2 of our review videos from our class on Tuesday. Don't forget the learning goal. I will repeat it again. I can describe the geography of a place using physical and human characteristics. So the last video, we focused on physical characteristics of a place. This video, we're going to talk about the human characteristics that can be used to describe a place. So, what is culture? Culture is the characteristics of a group of people based on learned behavior and shared values, language, experiences, etc. Culture is our way of being. All right, so culture is not something we are born with. It is something that we learn over time, a learned behavior. So some of the things that make up culture, some of the elements: language, medicine, religion, how we take care of children, food, art, celebrations, jokes, manners, fashion, right? And work schedules. If you put all of these together and more, you make up a person's culture. So we can use some of these elements to describe a place. So some other concepts regarding culture: cultural practices. Cultural practices are patterns of common social behavior within a group of people. So an example of a cultural practice would be the use of chopsticks in some Asian countries, right? A cultural practice would be, how do you handle a wedding or a funeral? How are those conducted? In Greece, for example, one of their cultural practices is that children who lose a baby tooth must throw it on the roof of the house for good luck. All right, we usually put it under our pillow for the tooth fairy. In Greece, they throw it on the roof for good luck. Cultural practices are putting your culture into action. So what are cultural products? Cultural products are lasting inventions and products produced by a culture. So cultural products could be art, music, law, different laws. The example I gave on Tuesday was the invention of cement by the Romans for Roman architecture that we still use today. Another cultural product, remember Hammurabi's Code of Law that we learned? Some of those laws have been passed down and are still used today. And in China, a cultural product would be paper, right? A lasting invention, paper. Cultural perspective, understanding of the facts from the basis of a cultural experience. So cultural perspective is looking at it, from your cultural viewpoint, your glasses, okay? And that everyone has a different pair. So an example of cultural perspective, and this was an example I also used on Tuesday, was the cell phone. depending on what generation you grew up in, may influence your perspective on the use of cell phones, right? An older generation might see cell phones as, a burden, a hindrance on society, when a newer generation might think that you need it. It's a need. It's a communication tool. It's, things like that. Also, an example would be the peace sign. So in America, we do the peace sign kind of like a V with our fingers. In places like England and Ireland and Australia, that is seen as an offensive gesture, an offensive symbol. Next, cultural borrowing. It's using items from other cultures. Right? So it's like, for example, celebrating Christmas even though you're not a Christian, right? You're using you're using the item from one culture for your own. And the last one, cultural diversity, cultural diversity is the differences within a culture. All right, so culture is some shared characteristics in a group of people, but within that group of people, you're still going to be diverse. There's still going to be differences. So cultural diversity, the differences within a culture. Remember, differences should be valued. Differences should be embraced. We should celebrate our cultural diversity. So, and again, another quick video on some of the concepts we learned about culture and human geography. All right, you can move on to that final video.